Hello there, I'm Richard from Burning Spears. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making biltong, but not just any old biltong. Today I'm going to be making venison biltong. I was gifted a 40 kilogram male fallow deer. Fallow deer being the second largest, I think it's the second largest deer species in the UK, with red deer being the biggest. So I'm very honoured to have this raw material to work with. South Africans, you know, because we've got lions and stuff running down our high streets, we eat a lot of game, and game biltong is a great way of preserving it. I have made a lot of it in my time. So today I'm going to be going through my easy process that I've learned, and I've adapted it to the home use. I was helping a friend with a biltong business in the Cayman Islands, where I developed my easy method of churning out large amounts of biltong in a couple of hours in the evening. You know, so this follows suit. It's very simple, but there I'll be doing a standard one that's coriander and black pepper. If you've seen my other videos on biltong, that's traditional, that's my go-to. But it works really well with venison because of the properties and the natural properties and the flavors of pepper and coriander. But as I'm going to be giving a section of this meat to the hunter, because he's never had biltong before, I will be doing two other variants for him to taste. And one of them will be Worcester sauce, or W sauce, or sauce. It'll be Worcester sauce and black pepper, which is a great one. The umami will tackle a lot of the gaminess of the meat. Then of course I will be doing another little one with a thyme dust. So I'm going to grind the thyme down, and I'm going to put that on with a bit of black pepper. So thyme is really good with game. It also has natural antibacterial properties and stuff like that, like the other spices that are going to be used here. So great flavor profile as well. Now, of course, it's game, so it's going to be gamey. But there's a couple of things that help with that and are inherent in the biltong making process. First one is salt, right? So something salty, you're not going to notice a lot of those musty type tastes coming through. You generally dry this a little bit more than you would beef, so it's more salty. Vinegar, you know, that destroys almost any taste. So the soak on here and the slices being cut thinly, which I'll cover in a bit, make the vinegar work really well to take a lot of that gaminess out. Then of course the other flavor components and the amount that I use specifically when I make biltong. Never shy with the black pepper. Coriander must be present, and very present. So all of those elements will help with the pull down that gaminess. But of course you do want some of that gaminess because you're eating game, you know, you don't want it to taste like beef, otherwise just use beef. It's a lot easier to get hold of as well. So I'm going to pull in on the ingredients, and this is the first time I'm making it in winter. We've just got above freezing, but the sun's shining in the UK. Probably a couple of million people called the police to report this glowing ball in the sky. It's been so long since we've seen it. But I've never made it in winter in the UK because my Biltong Betty, my box, sits outside. I don't have facility in my man cave, my garage, to use heating. It's too expensive. It would be too expensive running a fan heater on. So I will see how well this turns out. There are heaters in the box, but of course they're not going to do a huge amount. But as long as the air is dry, which winter can be very good for, that can pull a lot of the moisture out the meat and dehydrate it, which is what you want. So anyway, enough about that. I'll probably repeat it ad nauseum during the course of this, but let me pull into the ingredients a little. Okay, so I have coarse sea salt. You want a nice coarse salt with my method. It's just so easy to use and apply, and you don't over salt or anything like that. It sort of does its thing without even too much fuss. So coarse salt. Today I'm going to be using white vinegar. It's because it's all I had. I've got a little bit of malt vinegar left, but I need to save that for some sausage making. So white vinegar, you can use any vinegar, white vinegar, brown vinegar, apple cider vinegar, your choice. So yeah, just plain white today. Then the W sauce, the Worcester sauce, which is Worcester sauce. Great ingredient, man. Umami, tangy, and depth. It's really, really good. Coriander, whole coriander. Off camera, I'll be toasting this in a pan and then grinding it in my spice grinder to a medium grind consistency, where I have little half shells of coriander and some finer stuff. And then whole black pepper, freshly ground down, always freshly ground black pepper. So like I said, that's the main flavor component, and then a little bit of thyme that you'll see in play. Now the meat aspect, I didn't film me cutting up the meat because it was cold, it was dark, I was in a rush, it was after work, and I had kind of a lot to do to break this down. So I've only used the leg meat for this. It's really only the sort of good, the good meat that you would be able to use. You know, I tried getting stuff off the shoulder and it just wasn't possible. So I've got a lot of venison mince coming my way soon. But basically I got the legs down, and where I could cut sort of like an inch thick pieces, as big as I could get them surface area wise. I did leave some silver skin on because to take that off you lose a bit of meat, and we'll see how much difference it makes once the cross slices are done, which I'll cover later. What was quite surprising for me, which I'm not used to, as our African game doesn't have fat. They're a lot leaner. So there was fat on the deer, and that was surprising to me, and it's fairly thick. Probably made a mistake. I probably should have taken it off, but I wanted to try it and see how it would dry and see how it would taste. So there are some pieces with fat, and again the thickness, and that's a perfect biltong piece. That if I could replicate that 100 times out of this, I certainly would have. But of course you get some smaller stuff, you get a lot of sinew through. It's just the nature of the beast, right? You don't have as much volume to be selective like you do with beef. So I've got about I think it's a little bit under 7 kilograms of deer here, that, like I said, all came off the leg. There's a real big piece, thick. So I've got some variety to use. Some pieces are short, means a lot of hanging, but it is what it is. It's going to taste delicious. So that's basically the ingredients. Let's get on with the process. This is the salmon cut from the fallow deer. It's probably 400 grams maybe, and in a cow it's probably 2.5 kilos. Okay, so the first stage of the cure is of course salting. So like I say, I've got coarse sea salt here. It must be coarse for this technique, otherwise you stand a very good chance of over salting the meat. So I'm going to have one meat hand and one salt hand, so that I don't cross-contaminate my salt here. Not that it would bother me personally, but this tub has a lot of the blood and the plasma in from the meat defrosting and all of that. Yes, I did freeze it, I know. Sin. But I'm going to transfer it and coat it in coarse salt, as you'll see. Okay, there's no critical measurements here. That's what makes this method so easy. I've just got a whole bunch of salt in there. And essentially you want to get the salt in everywhere, and if there's any folds you want a bit of salt in there, and you want as much as it's really going to stick, something like that. Okay, right, so salt it up. Took me 10 minutes. As you can see, it's real easy, that part about it. So now, critical step is to allow the salt enough time to get into that first layer of the meat and to penetrate it so that that can be your first barrier against any bacteria or anything like that. You don't want to go longer than half an hour in this stage. I'm going to go 20 minutes on this because the cuts are quite thin. So I'm going to go 20 minutes, whereas with beef, 20 minutes, half hour is suitable. But just want to take a bit of care on the salt levels on here. So 20 minutes, the next step will happen, the vinegar stage. So really easy, stick around and you'll see it happen. Okay, it's been 20 minutes on the dot. There's a bit of liquid in the bottom here, and that's the danger of leaving stuff in too long with the salt, is that's really salty liquid and it's over salting the stuff as we speak. So ideally, first prize you would put a mesh tray at the bottom, let the meat stay separate from that liquid. But 20 minutes, we're all good here, nothing to worry about. So the next stage of the cure is the vinegar. So I'm going to just brush off some salt, pack it in here, put some vinegar on it just to gauge the amount, and that'll be the one stage. Then I'm going to do the side step now as well, where for the Worcestershire sauce and black pepper biltong, I'm going to use the Worcestershire sauce as the cure. So that'll be done separately and on a smaller scale. You'll see that that'll make sense. Okay, so there's a lot of salt in here, and that's why using coarse salt is so good, because it'll sort of, as much as needed, will work its way in, and we didn't let it sit too long, so it hasn't broken down and completely over salted everything. Coarse salt, guys, coarse salt. Right, so you want to at least cover your meat in the vinegar. You want to move it around just to make sure that the meat that's stuck together breaks apart and the vinegar can get in everywhere. Very quickly, that vinegar the acid in that vinegar will start to cook the meat. Meat changes color very quickly. So again, we're going to be probably about 10 minutes in the vinegar. You can leave it to 20, but the longer you leave it in the vinegar, the more vinegary it's going to be. So you just sort of don't want to overdo it. Really, when I use beef, it's literally as soon as it changes color, like it's almost gone sort of like more opaque. So that for me would almost be ready to go if it was beef. But as mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that we get as much gaminess out, but I want to avoid over vinegaring it as well. So I make it sound complicated, but it's not really. Okay, so for my main mix, I'm going to pretty much eyeball equal amounts of dry roasted, pan roasted coriander ground up, and black pepper. I'm going to go 50-50, eyeball it. It's not hypercritical on measurements. Then of course I'll keep some black pepper aside for the Worcestershire sauce and black pepper. Then I've just ground up some thyme a little bit, not too much. Quite a pungent herb, so I'll use that a little bit more sparingly, with a bit of black pepper. So that I'll go 50-50 on there as well. And just have a good look at the consistency of that coriander. That's important. Okay, so it's been around 10 minutes, a little over 10 minutes. Not critical. The Worcestershire sauce I'm going to leave going for probably half an hour. I really want that to get into the meat. It's not as acidic as vinegar, so not a problem there. And you want as much of that flavor to be there. So roughly eyeball it, like I said, 50-50 pepper to coriander. I'm going to be putting a bit of pepper in with the thyme, for the thyme biltong. I'll be leaving a bit of pepper in there for the Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to call it W sauce. I think that'll be the best. And then in here, the coriander, and then the bulk of the pepper will go in there. Right. Okay, so this I'll put one side because we're gonna be busy with, that's gonna be busy for a while yet. And I'm gonna get the thyme done first and out the way to then focus on the bulk. Just a little bit of coriander pepper mix in there, just to have the look with the coriander. So straight out the bucket, give it a little shake, get some of the vinegar off, and I'm literally only going to make him a taster, not much at all. Again, you want to make sure that you've got your coating of these antibacterial herbs and spices everywhere. Exactly the sort of thing you're after. Nicely coated. So you can see how the acid has cooked that, right? And that's exactly what you want. You know, that this meat is nice and protected and cured from the salt and the acid. And then this addition to finish it off. Okay, they're done. Labor wise, hasn't really taken long. There was about a 10-minute salting process, getting the spices ready, maybe another 10 minutes. Vinegar, probably less than an hour in labor altogether. The advantages of this method is that if you make in large quantities, it doesn't really take a huge amount more time, because you're just processing stuff in larger quantities. So the quickness of the method really shines with the large production, and you can see how easy it is. A lot of the methods out there are do this and lightly coat this and leave it overnight and blah blah blah. I don't have time for that nonsense, so this is my method, and now we're just going to hang. I like to use nylon hooks, plastic hooks. Stainless if I've got no plastic. I do not use paper clips. Very common for South Africans living abroad with their little biltong boxes to hang stuff with paper clips. The problem is the acidity eats that zinc off, then you get rust on the metal underneath, so you've got about a bunch of metal taints and tastes going onto your biltong. You could use the plastic coated paper clips, I suppose, but these are everywhere and really good. So basically you would always look for the sort of like teardrop effect, where you put the hook through the thinner side so that the weight hangs through, and you don't want to put it too far down so it flops. You never want biltong to sit in a dryer like that, or meat to touch each other, because that's when there's limited airflow, and that's where mold will take hold of very quickly, and none of these ingredients can combat that. Right, there you have it. We're ready to hang. I'm ready to hang them in Biltong Betty, my box that I made. Right, so there we have it. Biltong's in, it's hung. So just check for equal spacing, make sure that nothing's touching each other. So I've got two fans that pull the air through, there's holes in the bottom, and then I've got two ceramic heating elements in there to provide the heat. Touch wood, it all works well over the winter. Alright, so I presume that I have probably about 5 days, 4 or 5 days. Definitely 4, I would say. But now I'm going to lock it up and just check on them daily, and I might take a picture, see their progress. Can't wait to taste this. These ones are nearly quite a bit drier being at the bottom, so I'm going to switch them around with these ones at the top. Right, and so we have the finished product. This is the Worcester sauce and black pepper, thyme, and then the traditional lovely mountain of dried meat that keeps well, feeds well, tastes well, and is just all round well. Right, so 5 days of drying in winter with the dryer outside. Product came out perfectly, really happy with that. I haven't done it, like I say, I haven't done it in winter before, and I'm pretty grateful that I can now. There's just no stopping this biltong machine. So we've got the 3 varieties as you saw made, and a big thanks to Vasile, my hunter friend, for providing this amazing animal for me to use. It's really nice to get some product, to know where it comes from, and all of that sort of thing. So I hope you're going to enjoy. I'm going to pack up half of this for him after this video, and yeah, can't wait to get his feedback as well. But let me have a little taster in front of you guys. So I'm not going to put this through the cutter that I normally do, the slicer. I'm going to leave the sticks whole, because it's more traditional that way, and Vasile, being a hunter, has a knife on his belt, so it's great just to carve chunks off as and when you need it. Plus it's a lot of effort. So it's quite dry, so it looks like it's tough, but the chew's good. That tastes just like the venison biltong I've come to know and love back in South Africa. The vinegar takes out a lot of gaminess, almost provides a sort of sweetness as well as a layer of tang. The pepper and coriander don't overpower. They just assist in the whole process. The gaminess is there, but it's not pronounced. It's not off-putting. It's just almost another equal partner in the whole journey. So, very impressed. Man, that's good. Any sort of dry product, all of that generally takes some sort of activation. Those of you who've had droewors or dried sausage, South African sausage, will know that you got to chew it and you got to get the juices going through, and then you just get this flavour bomb, and that's what you get here. My mouth is now alight with the flavour and all of that. So all around great. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope some of my American and European viewers that watch this and that hunt and haven't made anything like this, I hope you now have the technique to try it out, and you'll be very happy. Just research online on how to make little biltong dryers, or use a dehydrator, something like that, and you'll get great results. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and that's it.